Not all filmmakers like their movies to have simple endings. Some leave their last scene ambiguous to keep audiences thinking. But sometimes that plan backfires, resulting in endings that are just plain confusing. Beware of spoilers. Inception. Christopher Nolan's 2010 film left audiences minds spinning as much as the top in the final shot. Just when it looks like the top is about to spin out and tumble, the screen cuts to black. The final shot shows Dom Cobb reuniting with his kids, but we never know if it's really happening or if it's a dream. Fans debated the scene endlessly for years after Inception came out, but according to Nolan, the non-ending is actually kind of the whole point. In 2015, the director gave the commencement speech at Princeton University and told the grads to chase their reality. He used the ending of Inception as an example, saying Cobb was off with his kids. He was in his own subjective reality. He didn't really care anymore, and that makes a statement. Perhaps all levels of reality are valid. The camera moves over the spinning top just before it appears to be wobbling. It was cut to black. In short, the ending of the movie is up to us, and we're right either way. The Dark Knight Rises. The ending to Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy isn't quite as vague as Inception, but it still left viewers debating after the credits started rolling. After flying a nuclear bomb out of Gotham City, Batman escapes the blast off-screen. We know this because later, while Alfred is in Florence, he sees Bruce Wayne sitting at a table enjoying a meal with ex-Catwoman Selina Kyle. Some fans have theorized that this is all a dream, that Batman actually died in the explosion, and that Alfred simply imagined seeing his friend taking in the Italian sunshine. But that's bat baloney. Before the movie's end, we learn, along with Lucius Fox, that Wayne fixed the Batplane's autopilot 6 months before the final showdown in Gotham. That's all the exposition necessary for viewers to know that Batman jumped out while the plane flies the bomb toward the bay. When Alfred sees Wayne in Florence, it's exactly how Alfred describes it earlier in the film, but that's not a dream. It's just the best way for Wayne to show Alfred he's alive. Moreover, Selina Kyle is there wearing Wayne's mother's necklace, which she steals at the beginning of the movie. Alfred doesn't know she and Wayne have become an item, and he'd already quit working for Bruce before Batman and Catwoman teamed up to save Gotham City. As if all that isn't enough, Christian Bale himself thinks that Bruce is alive by the end of the movie. He explained during an interview while promoting Exodus Gods and Kings.
He was just content with me being alive and left because that was always the life that he wanted for him. And I find it very interesting, and with most films, I tend to always say it's what the audience thinks it is. My personal opinion is, no, it was not a dream, that was for real. And he was just delighted that finally he had freed himself from the privilege, but ultimately the burden of being Bruce Wayne.
None of this matters anyway. Batfleck is the wave of the future, but let's shift our gaze towards the ghost of Batman's past. Birdman. Alejandro G. Iñárritu's film about a washed-up actor trying to make a comeback on Broadway has the kind of weird ending that puts Inception to shame. Throughout the film, Regan Thompson is shown as having superpowers, only to have them later be explained as being all in his head. In the final scene, Regan's daughter, Sam, enters his hospital room to find his bed empty and the window open. Sirens and voices can be heard coming from the street below. Initially, Sam looks down, but she slowly turns her head up to the sky and she smiles. Some might think this means Regan actually does have powers and has flown away, but probably not. What really seems to have happened is that Regan has successfully committed suicide, which he failed to do on the previous day. Sam, for her part, seems to start hallucinating just like her dad. The fact that she has bird tattoos on her arm and that her father played a superhero with bird-based powers suggests the strong connection between the two. Sam seems to leave the real world to enter a fantasy where her father is still alive, soaring above the clouds. The film is subtitled The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance after all. Here, Sam chooses to ignore reality. One of Birdman's 4 screenwriters, Alexander Dinelaris Jr., hinted during an interview with HuffPost Live that the key to their understanding of the ending lies within Sam's relationship with her father. I think when we found the relationship with the daughter, we started to understand what Regan's story was. Once she got down, Emma's big monologue in the basement, we started to understand the relationship and what it was. We're not going to sit around and explain the ending. Vanilla Sky. Instead of a feel-good romance or a fun coming-of-age story, viewers of Vanilla Sky got a moody, elliptical remake of a hit Spanish film. A feckless playboy suffers near death and disfigurement after a relationship with his new girlfriend plunges his ex into homicidal obsession. But once his face is surgically restored, his life really starts to go haywire. Viewers are told that much of what they've seen is a lucid dream in Cruz's brain, which has been held in a cryogenic stasis for more than 100 years. The more troubling elements of the narrative are apparently the result of a glitch. He's given the choice to either reboot the dream or exit it once and for all by jumping off a building and being brought back to life. He jumps, and the last shot is of the protagonist opening his eyes, starting his life over again. Director Cameron Crowe said that the correct answer to understanding the movie might just be accepting what you see on screen as the actual events of the story. According to his comments on the DVD's commentary track, Crowe seemed to lean in that direction while talking with film school rejects about the film's unused alternate ending as well, saying, "You want people to understand what you're going for, so the question is, looking at both endings, did the pendulum swing too much in the direction of us explaining stuff? I think it did. The original ending was more open-ended, a little less explained." Barton Fink. At the end of this Coen Brothers flick, tortured writer Barton Fink wanders onto a beach where he meets a woman resembling the picture decorating his sparse, depressing hotel room. Shortly after they meet, the movie abruptly ends, potentially leaving some viewers scratching their heads. What's it mean? Here's one way to look at it. The picture represents the idea of Hollywood. It's a place of fantasy, beaches, and beautiful women. Meanwhile, throughout the entire film, Fink is subjected to the reality of Hollywood. He's had his script torn apart by an executive. He found out his hero, writer W.P. Mayhew, is a washed-up alcoholic, and that Mayhew's wife writes his novels for him, and he's fled from both a burning hotel and a shotgun-wielding maniac. You'd think that finally finding the woman on the beach would mean that Fink is at the end of his trials, having reached his reward and a place where he feels safe. But in fact, he's learned the truth about the dangerous world in which he now exists. Joel Coen explained in a 1991 interview, "Some people have suggested that the whole second part of the film is nothing but a nightmare. But it was never our intention to, in any literal sense, depict some bad dream, and yet it is true that we were aiming for a logic of the irrational. We wanted the film's atmosphere to reflect the psychological state of the protagonist." That wouldn't be the last time the ending of a Coen Brothers movie left audiences debating after leaving the theater. No Country for Old Men. At the end of his blood-soaked neo-western, Sheriff Ed Tom Bell tells his wife about two dreams he has about his father. In the first dream, he loses some money his father gave him. In the second dream, Bell sees his father holding a torch, riding ahead into the darkness of a snowy mountain pass. Shortly before Bell tells the stories of his dreams, he tells his wife that his father died young. That, in a sense, his father will always be a younger man. More importantly, throughout the movie, Bell ponders the violence in the area where he's sheriff, and since he's close to retirement, he wonders whether he's too old for the world. The title of the movie is No Country for Old Men, and Bell is one of them. It's become too violent too quickly for someone of his age, and he can no longer cope. The world needs someone younger, like his father, to light the way in the ever-growing darkness around it, exactly like the second dream Bell describes. As for the first dream, maybe Bell just needs a new wallet. Mulholland Drive. David Lynch fans don't watch his work for straightforward narratives. But even in the context of his endearingly weird filmography, 2001's Mulholland Drive is tough to figure out. Lynch himself has steadfastly refused to help untangle the movie, which moves in jittery circles around an actress, a mysterious woman, and a film director, all of whom are mixed up in a dreamlike and frequently nonsensical series of events. Ultimately, the film's ending is every bit as open to interpretation as the rest of the film, and although viewers are welcome to delve into the many theories attempting to explain what Lynch might have meant, the best explanation was arguably posed by the late film critic Roger Ebert. According to him, the movie is hypnotic. We're drawn along as if one thing leads to another, but nothing leads anywhere, and that's even before the characters start to fracture and recombine like flesh caught in a kaleidoscope. There is no explanation. There may not even be a mystery. So, what's the explanation here? Pretty much whatever you want.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching. Click the looper icon to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plus, check out all this other cool stuff we know you'll love too.